The hum starts low, a deep, resonant thrumming that vibrates through the sole of your boot, up your spine, and into the command seat. It's not the steady, reassuring rumble of the T7 World Shaper drone you've been babysitting for the past 3 months. No, this is a discordant growl, a hungry tremor that feels less like machinery and more like the very bones of this frozen planet are shifting. You lean forward, gloved fingers flying across the console. A cascade of red warnings flares across your primary screen. Malfunction, a synthetic voice calmly states, but the data screams panic. Primary atmospheric processors offline. Geothermal conduits overloading. Nutrient dispensers venting into the void. This isn't just a glitch. This is a catastrophic failure. Your breath hitches. You're the last terraformer, the only human on this rock, and the one thing meant to bring it to life is tearing it apart. T7. Report status. You bark into your comms, the sound hollow in the cramped cockpit. Silence. Only that intensifying hum, now rattling the very hull of your scout ship. Your diagnostic overlay flashes a new alert. Unidentified energy signature. Origin, subterranean. What? Your drone operates deep, but it's not supposed to be digging up this. The ground beneath you shudders violently, throwing you against your restraints. A sickening groan tears through the bedrock, loud enough to feel in your teeth. You see it on the external cams, fissures ripping across the icy plains, glowing with an eerie violet light from below. It's not the drone causing this. The T7 is merely a giant, expensive shovel that just hit something it shouldn't have. No, 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 you mutter, eyes wide, fixed on the energy spikes now blooming across the holographic map of the planet. These aren't geological, these aren't even natural. They're too organized, too complex. Ancient, the scanner labels them. The hum isn't the drone dying, it's something waking up. You slam your fist on the console. You were sent here to save a dying world, to make it hospitable for the alien Varkos, whose own sun was guttering out. You didn't sign up to wake a sleeping god. Your mission profile, your training, everything about your life as an engineer screams 20 fix-it. But how do you fix something that's been dormant for millennia? How do you silence a hum that feels like the planet itself is letting out a guttural roar? A sharp crack, like a whip, echoes through the metal shell of your ship as one of the violet fissures snakes directly towards your landing site. Instinct takes over. Forget the drone. You have to understand what you've unleashed. You push yourself away from the console, grabbing your emergency survey kit. This isn't about terraforming anymore. This is about survival. And maybe, just maybe, figuring out how a single under-resourced human engineer is going to put a lid back on Pandora's box before it devours a whole new species. You just hit the emergency override, disconnecting the drone and sending a desperate, unreadable distress signal out into the void. No one's coming. You're on your own. You always are. The metallic tang of recycled oxygen fills your mouth the moment your helmet seals, a familiar taste that usually signifies safety, routine. Not today. Today, it's the taste of desperation, of cold dread clinging to your tongue, as the air purifiers hum a hollow comfort against the escalating chaos outside. Your heavy suit boots clunk against the deck plates as you move, each step a deliberate act against the growing tremors. The scout ship groans around you, a mechanical beast slowly being torn apart by the planet it rests upon. You hit the emergency airlock switch. The inner door hisses open, revealing a short, stark tunnel bathed in the dim red of emergency lighting. You step inside, the door sliding shut behind you with a thud that echoes the finality of your decision. The outer door cycles, a slow, grinding release of pressure. You can feel the cold seeping through the thick layers of your suit, even before the vacuum gives way to the icy, toxic atmosphere of Xylos. Then, the view. The purple glow, once a distant shimmer, now pulses with an unnerving intensity from the gaping fissures that spiderweb across the landscape. They twist and writhe like living veins, radiating an energy that makes your suit's sensors scream in protest. The air, though filtered, still carries a faint, acrid scent through your suit's environmental systems, like ozone and ancient dust, mixed with something alive, something alien and deeply wrong. Your helmet HUD flickers, struggling to compensate for the chaotic energy readings. The thermometer plummets. painting the world in stark blues and purples. You're standing on the edge of a chasm, and whatever you woke up is staring back. This is not standard operating procedure, you hear yourself muttering, your voice sounding small and strangely calm in your own ears. You take a step forward, your boots crunching on the brittle, crystalline surface of the ice. The ground shudders again. A deeper, more resonant rumble that vibrates through your bones. A faint signal flickers on your comms. It's the Varkos, your future dependents, the very aliens you're here to save. Terraformer. Our scout reports increasing seismic activity. Is the process accelerating? The voice is tinny, concerned, completely oblivious to the existential horror unfolding beneath your feet. You clench your jaw. You can't tell them. Not yet. Not until you understand. This isn't just about a malfunctioning drone anymore. This is about a mistake so fundamental, so ancient, it could wipe out not just the Varkos, but anything else foolish enough to touch it. You raise your hand, your fingers adjusting the optical zoom on your helmet. The violet light flares, revealing shapes within the depths of the fissures. Not rock, not ice. Structures. Geometric, unsettlingly precise, and undeniably artificial. Something built by intelligence, for a purpose you can only begin to dread. A chill, not just from the planetary cold, seizes you. You're one human, a glorified technician, staring down something that has slept for an eternity. And you've just woken it up. You came here to bring life, but now you might be the only thing standing between a hungry void and an entire civilization. The taste of filtered air, once a comfort, now feels like a constant reminder of your fragile, isolated existence, and the impossible task ahead. The grit of the lifeless soil grinds under your boots. A fine, crystalline dust kicked up by the wind, scraping against the reinforced synthweave of your suit. It feels ancient, dead, yet somehow alive with the strange violet energy pulsing from the fissures around you. Every step is a defiant crunch. A tiny human sound swallowed by the planet's awakening roar. Your comms are silent now, the Varkos having given up after your non-committal answers. Good. They don't need to hear the panic thrumming in your chest. You're standing at the edge of one of the deepest chasms. The violet light so intense it burns a ghost image into your HUD. Below, in the inky blackness, the geometric structures you glimpsed earlier are clearer now. They aren't just static ruins. They're moving, slow, agonizingly slow, like titanic gears turning in a clock that's just been wound after an eternity. Massive, obsidian-like plates shift, grinding against each other with a sound that vibrates through the rock and up into your core, a low, groaning symphony of ancient mechanics. Your diagnostic tools are useless. They just spit out error messages, overwhelmed by the raw, untamed energy emanating from below. But your eyes, your very human eyes, see something your tech can't quantify. Purpose. Malicious, focused purpose. This isn't just a buried city. It's a mechanism, a weapon, or a cage. And whatever was inside is now free, or breaking free. A shower of rocks, dislodged by another tremor, cascades down the chasm wall, narrowly missing you. You instinctively pull back, your heart hammering against your ribs. Your suit registers the impact of debris, but your mind is already working, sifting through the chaos. What kind of power could move structures this immense? What kind of intelligence could build them? And what does it want, now that it's awake? All right, big guy, you whisper into your comms, the words for your own benefit. Let's see what you're made of. You drop to one knee, pulling out your geological scanner, not for rock samples, but for any coherent energy signature, any pattern your human mind can parse. The cold metal is unforgiving against your gloved hand. The air in your helmet smells stale, but your focus is sharp, cutting through the fear. You can hear a high-pitched whine now, growing louder, emanating from the depths. It's like 1,000 cicadas screaming, but deeper, resonating in your very bones. Suddenly, a section of the chasm wall, directly across from you, glows intensely. Then, with a sound like tearing fabric, a monstrous segmented appendage, blacker than the void itself, erupts from the stone. It's articulated, jointed, covered in glowing violet glyphs, and it twists, sensing the air, sensing you. You freeze, your breath catching in your throat. This isn't a ruin. This is a prison break. And you're the unwitting jailer. You've got grit in your teeth now, literally, from the dust kicked up. But it's not just dust. It's the taste of the universe reminding you that some things are best left buried. And you, a lone human, just pulled the trigger. The segmented appendage writhes, a grotesque leviathan clawing its way from the ancient prison. It's obsidian black, not rock, but something organic yet mechanical, covered in those glowing violet glyphs that pulse with malevolent energy. A low, guttural shriek, not of metal but of something alive, tears through the atmosphere, piercing your suit's audio dampeners and rattling your teeth. It's a sound of raw, unadulterated hunger, of eons of slumber abruptly ended. Your breath hitches, freezing in your lungs. Every instinct screams run, but your feet are cemented to the gritty ground. The thing is massive, easily the size of your scout ship, and it's still emerging. More segments, more twisting blackness, more piercing violet light. It arcs, slowly, deliberately, as if testing the newfound freedom of millennia. Then, its tip, a cluster of razor-sharp chitinous plates, points directly at you. A cold dread washes over you, but it's quickly followed by a spark of pure, defiant stubbornness. You didn't come all this way to be ancient alien food. You came to make a planet bloom. Your hand almost unconsciously goes to the utility belt at your hip. You're no soldier, no combat expert. You're an engineer. Your weapons are wrenches, diagnostic tools, and terraforming equipment. Your fingers close around a small, heavy, sealed vial. It's not a weapon. It's a sample. A small, self-contained biosphere of earth soil and dormant heirloom seeds, meant to be the first spark of organic life on Xylos, a personal memento of what you were trying to achieve. The ghost of a forest in your hands. You clutch it, the smooth, cool glass, a stark contrast to the burning threat before you. How utterly ironic. This symbol of life, of growth, feels so absurdly insignificant against this cosmic horror. Right? You rasp into your comms, the word raw and shaky. You want a piece of me? You'll have to earn it. The alien construct lets out another piercing shriek, a cacophony of scraping stone and rending air. It lunges, not fast, not like a predator, but with the terrifying, inevitable momentum of something truly vast. The ground beneath you cracks, the fissure widening directly at your feet. You barely register the danger. Your mind is already racing, discarding impossible scenarios, grasping at threads of possibility. Your drone, the T-7, is still down there, fused with whatever it woke up. It's a giant, inert metal husk now, but it still has power cores. It still has atmospheric processors and bioconverters. You yank the small seed vial from your belt, not to throw it, but to remind yourself. This thing consumes. It destroys. And you? You create. You adapt. You pull out your multi-tool, thumbing the comms again, overriding the drone's lockdown protocols. Your fingers dance across the holographic interface, attempting to jury-rig a connection, to find a backdoor into your own malfunctioning tech. It's a desperate gamble. An engineer, a lone human, holding a handful of dormant life, staring down oblivion, and trying to turn a terraforming drone into a cosmic cork. The ghost of a forest in your hands might not be a weapon, but the dream it represents? That's a different kind of defiance. You refuse to let it die without a fight. Not here. Not on your watch. The ground erupts. Not a tremor, but an explosive lurch that sends you tumbling sideways, your helmet scraping against the sharp, crystalline grit. The monstrous appendage, black and pulsing with violet light, slams into the spot where you stood moments before, pulverizing the ancient ice. A deep, resonant thump rattles your teeth, followed by a shower of sharp ice shards and pulverized rock that pepper your suit. Your left arm flares with pain. You must have twisted something in the fall. Son of a... You gasp, the expletive muffled by your comms, more for yourself than anyone else. Scrambling backward on hands and knees, you don't even look at the damage. Your eyes are locked on your multi-tool, fingers still flying across the holographic interface, attempting to wrest control of the T-7 drone from the parasitic grip of the ancient entity. The creature's shriek echoes again, closer this time, a sound that promises nothing but oblivion. Its segmented form twists, coiling, its many articulated joints cracking like thunder as it prepares another strike. You can feel the sheer, crushing weight of it, the cold, alien presence radiating from the chasm. Your HUD flickers, displaying endless lines of corrupted code. The drone's primary systems are locked, fused with the alien mechanism, but its secondary systems, those might still be viable. Your mind races, 1,000 engineering schematics flashing through your brain. Atmospheric processors, moisture condensers, terraforming injectables. All designed to create life, to bring forth warmth and water. Come on, you rust bucket, you mutter. Sweat beading on your forehead despite the sub-zero temperatures. Your bruised fingers ache, but you push past the pain, overriding safety protocols, bypassing firewalls. You need a lever. Something. Anything. Then, a flash. Not a memory. Not exactly. But a raw, primal sensation. The feeling of cool mist on your face. The salt spray of a breaking wave. The deep, thrumming sound of a vast, living ocean. It's Earth, calling to you. A desperate echo of everything you left behind. Everything you came here to build. It's the last ocean you carry within you. A visceral counterpoint to this lifeless, awakening horror. It hits you. The drone's atmospheric processors aren't just for gas. They can condense moisture. They can supercool it. Or times superheat. Marble. They're designed to manipulate volatile atmospheric compounds, to create cimerain, or, if you push them hard enough, to create something far more destructive. A focused blast of extreme temperature. A weaponized weather system. Gotcha, you breathe. A manic grin stretching your lips beneath the helmet. A thin green line appears on your HUD. A tentative connection. You're in. Your fingers punch in a rapid sequence of commands, targeting the T7's main atmospheric output vent, located deep within the chasm. You're not trying to terraform now. You're trying to give this ancient monstrosity a taste of elemental fury. The creature lunges a second time, faster, its razor-chitinous tip slicing through the air towards your head. You don't dodge. You don't have time. Your gaze is fixed on the flickering progress bar on your HUD. A silent countdown. The echo of the last ocean might be just a memory, but you're about to make it an active threat. You're about to show this ancient horror what happens when a human, armed with nothing but desperate ingenuity and the will to survive, brings the power of a living world to bear. And you are not going to die politely. The razor-chitinous tip of the alien monstrosity screams towards your faceplate. You see the violet glyphs burning, feel the suction of displacement before impact. There's no time to flinch, no time to even gasp. Your fingers, locked onto the holographic interface, ram the final command home just as the world explodes in a blinding flash of frigid white. It's not an impact, not exactly. It's a grilled burst. A sudden, violent expulsion of supercooled water vapor and crystalline ice shards from deep within the chasm where the T7 drone is lodged. The force is concussive, a raw elemental punch that hits the alien entity head-on. The creature's lunge falters, its massive form enveloped in a cloud of swirling, sub-zero chaos. You feel a profound, sudden chill seep through your suit, through the thick insulation and heating elements. A cold that bypasses the material and goes straight to your bones. It's the cold kiss of recycled water, weaponized. Your comms crackle, overloaded, but you hear a faint, high-pitched screech from the creature, a sound of surprise and pain, utterly different from its earlier hungry roars. You don't wait to see if it worked. Adrenaline floods your system, overriding the throbbing pain in your arm. You roll sideways, scrambling backwards, putting precious meters between yourself and the chasm. The ground here is unstable, but you need distance. Need to observe. The white cloud begins to dissipate, slowly revealing the ancient horror. It's reeling. Its obsidian segments are coated in a layer of glistening ice. The violet glyphs dimmed, sputtering radically. One of its joints, where the blast hit hardest, is fractured, oozing a thin, luminescent fluid that quickly freezes into grotesque tendrils. It thrashes, not with focused malice, but with a wounded, primal rage, striking out blindly at the air, at the chasm walls. Looks like you don't like a cold shower, huh? You pant, your voice tight with exhaustion, and a strange, triumphant disbelief. You just hit an ancient cosmic horror with a blizzard from a broken terraforming drone. The sheer absurdity of it almost makes you laugh. But the triumph is fleeting. The creature, though damaged, is still colossal. It might be stunned, but it's not dead. And its thrashing is getting more violent, more desperate. It's trying to dislodge the ice, to regenerate. Your attack bought you seconds, maybe a minute. What now? You've got no more supercooled blasts to spare. The T7 systems are already redlining, barely holding together after that abuse. Your gaze drifts to the Varkos, homeworld, a distant, fragile blue marble in the sky. They don't know the nightmare you've unleashed, or the impossible gamble you just took to save them. You came here to bring them a new home, and instead you've put them on the menu for something that crawled out of a nightmare. The weight of that choice, the sheer audacity of your improvised defense, settles on you. You're an engineer, not a warrior, but sometimes, when you're the only human around, you have to be both. And right now, the cold kiss of recycled water is a reminder that you're just getting started. This isn't over. The throbbing pain in your left arm intensifies with every jolt of the ground. A raw, insistent ache against the cold that still permeates your suit. The alien monstrosity, its obsidian form still coated in a crackling sheath of ice, is no longer stunned. It's a wounded animal, enraged, its thrashing becoming more violent, more erratic. Massive segments slam against the chasm walls, sending tremors that threaten to rip the fragile ice plane apart. You can almost feel the grinding frustration radiating from it, a primal fury directed at the tiny aggravating speck that just froze its ancient hide. You push yourself to your feet, every muscle screaming in protest. Your previous attack was a Hail Mary, a desperate gambit that bought you precious seconds. But it's clear now, it wasn't enough. The T7 drone systems are completely fried, its core temperature's critical. No more ice blasts. You just threw your best improvised punch. And the ancient beast is still standing. Your eyes sweep across the desolate landscape, past the glowing fissures, and land on your scout ship. It's a silver bullet against the bleak horizon, your only way out, your last refuge. But now, it needs to be more. It needs to be a weapon. Come on, you bastard, you grunt. Limping and scrambling over the broken ice, dodging falling chunks of rock dislodged by the creature's renewed rampage. The alien screeches again, a sound of pure, unadulterated hatred, and one of its vast appendages slams down just meters behind you, sending a shockwave that throws you forward. You hit the ground hard, your helmet bouncing off the icy surface, stars exploding behind your eyes. Your vision blurs, but you force yourself up. Not now. Not like this. You reach the emergency airlock, fumbling with the controls, your gloved fingers slick with what feels like sweat. The inner door hisses open, and you tumble inside, collapsing against the cold metal floor. The outer door cycles shut, sealing you off from the immediate horror. But the ship shudders violently, protesting the continued assault from below. The warmth hits you first. Not a comforting warmth, but an oppressive, almost suffocating heat that permeates the ship. It's the constant, radiating glow from the power conduits leading to the engine core, humming like a caged star in the ship's belly. You drag yourself toward it, down the narrow access corridor, the air growing thick and heavy. The air purifiers are struggling, the smell of ozone and superheated metal thick in your nostrils. The engine core pulses a brilliant, dangerous blue, a contained fusion reaction keeping you alive in this desolate corner of the galaxy. It's designed for sustained sublight travel, for powering terraforming equipment, for time life, not for warfare. But it's all you have left. Your mind races, a dizzying blur of schematics and power relays. You can't just detonate it. You'd vaporize yourself and half the planet. But you can reroute it, overload it, channel its raw, untamed energy into something else. You reach the console, the metal hot under your touch. The data streams are a chaotic mess of warnings, but your human brain, fueled by fear and pure, stubborn defiance, sees a path. A way to take the very heart of your escape, the warmth of the engine core, and turn it into a final, desperate act of survival. You're shaking, but your hands are steady. This is it. No more half measures. This is going to be brutal. The warmth isn't comforting anymore. It's a suffocating blanket pressing in from the humming conduits and the very air you breathe. The deck plates beneath your boots vibrate with a feverish intensity. A frantic, shuddering, comes from strum, the rhythm of your ship's metal heart, pushed to its breaking point. Sweat, hot and stinging, drips from your forehead, blurring the glowing data on the console. Every internal alarm in the scout ship is screaming, a cacophony of red warnings filling your peripheral vision, but you ignore them. They're just numbers. You're the human at the helm, and numbers won't save an alien species. Your fingers fly across the hot console, slick with sweat, and the grit you still haven't brushed from your gloved palms. Each touch is deliberate, precise, a dance of desperation. You're overriding safety protocols, bypassing ancient firewalls designed to prevent exactly this, a reckless, suicidal surge of power from the fusion core. The core, a brilliant, dangerous blue, pulses faster now, its light intensifying, casting harsh shadows that flicker like ghosts across the cramped cockpit. It's no longer a steady glow, it's a frantic, accelerated beat. Outside, the alien entity bellows, a sound of raw, untamed fury that rattles the ship's hull. It's tearing at the planet, trying to get free, trying to get beat to you. The ship groans in protest, its structural integrity warnings now flashing critical. You can feel the strain in the metal, the way it flexes in protests, mirroring the tension in your own muscles. "Hold together, you piece of junk," you mutter through clenched teeth, leaning closer to the console, your face inches from the blinding light of the core's holographic schematic. Just a little longer. For the Varkos, you're trying to channel the core's raw output directly into the ship's main atmospheric thrusters, but in reverse. Not to fly, but to create a concentrated, directional energy burst. A weaponized expulsion of pure, contained fusion energy. It's insane. It's reckless. It's the kind of last-ditch, improvised insanity only a human could dream up. You're not just risking your ship. You're risking obliterating yourself along with the ancient horror. The air in the cockpit grows thick with the smell of ozone and burning insulation. Sparks spit from an overloaded conduit near your feet. The engine core itself seems to howl now, a high-pitched whine that rises above the thrumming, vibrating through your entire body. The metal heartbeat is accelerating, pounding, threatening to explode. A Varkos comms channel suddenly blares, startling you. "Terraformer, our sensors indicate extreme energy fluctuations from your location." What is happening? You don't answer. You can't. Your gaze is fixed on the progress bar on your HUD, agonizingly slow, crawling towards completion. The rhythm of the metal heartbeat in the ship is now your own. Frantic and desperate, you're pouring everything you have into this, every scrap of knowledge, every ounce of human stubbornness. You will not let this beast escape. Not while you still draw breath. And the Varkos? They're about to witness just how far humanity will go to keep a promise. The progress bar on your HUD, finally, agonizingly, crawls to 100%. The ship's internal alarms reach a fever pitch, a piercing, deafening shriek that vibrates through your very bones. The air in the cockpit is thick and hot, smelling of superheated metal, ozone, and something else. The acrid tang of circuits on the verge of meltdown. It's the scent of digital rain, a storm brewing within the belly of your vessel, ready to break. You slam your palm down on the final activation sequence. The world outside, viewed through your main viewport, detonates, not with a bang, but with a blinding, incandescent white flash that overpowers your suit's optical filters, turning everything into a stark, painful smear of pure energy. A silent, colossal wave of raw fusion power erupts from the ship's primary thrusters, reversed and focused, spewing directly down into the chasm. The recoil is immediate and brutal. The entire scout ship bucks. slamming you back against your command chair with such force that the straps dig deep into your shoulders, knocking the wind out of you. Your teeth clatter, and for a terrifying second, you think your jaw might have dislocated. Sparks rain from overhead conduits, a literal shower of fire against the metallic interior, and every screen on your console flashes a kaleidoscopic array of corrupted data, an impossible cascade of digital noise. It's chaos. It's beautiful. A gut-wrenching screech tears through the comms, so loud and distorted it could only be the ancient entity. It's a sound of agony, of something truly vast being torn apart. The violent shaking of your ship continues, but now it's coupled with the reverberating impact of something truly enormous thrashing in the depths. You can feel the planet itself trembling, groaning under the strain. Your vision slowly clears as the thruster blast dissipates. What greets you is a scene of utter devastation. The chasm is a ragged, smoking maw, molten rock glowing with angry red fissures. And the ancient monstrosity, it's a wreckage. Its obsidian segments are fractured, some vaporized, others glowing dull red from the intense heat. The violet glyphs are extinguished, replaced by grotesque, bubbling scars. It's not moving with coherence anymore. It's spasming, a dying thing clawing at the emptiness. The Varkos comms flare again, clearer this time, laced with awe and terror. Terraformer. The energy reading, it was impossible. What are you doing? You slump back in your seat, exhaling a ragged breath. Your entire body aches, your arm throbs relentlessly, but a grim satisfaction settles deep in your chest. You just hit an ancient horror with the concentrated power of a contained star. You just took your only ride home and used it as a cannon. The ship groans, settling. The constant scream of alarms begins to subside, replaced by the crackling of cooling metal and the faint, persistent smell of burnt ozone that lingers in the recycled air. The digital rain of corrupted data still flickers across the periphery of your HUD, a visual echo of the impossible power you just wielded. It's not over, not yet, but you just bought the Varkos, and yourself, a fighting chance. And sometimes, for a human, that's all you need. The ship shudders one last, protesting groan, then settles. The piercing shriek of alarm slowly fades, replaced by the crackle of cooling metal and the hiss of overworked environmental systems. A faint, acrid scent of ozone and burnt insulation still hangs heavy in the recycled air, a physical reminder of the impossible feat you just pulled off. Your muscles ache, every bone protesting, and the throbbing in your left arm has intensified into a dull roar. You slump forward, head resting against the still warm console, the silence around you a stark contrast to the internal storm that rages. You lift your head, forcing your eyes to the main viewport. Outside, the world is a scarred, smoking ruin. The chasm, once glowing with an eerie violet, is now a gaping, molten wound, radiating a raw, dangerous heat. The alien monstrosity lies broken within its depths, its obsidian segments fractured, some vaporized into slag, others glowing dull red. It's dormant again, forced back into its ancient slumber, but it's not truly gone. You can still feel its latent, malevolent presence, like a buried predator that will one day stir again. It's an uneasy silence. The Varkos comms flare, persistent now, no longer laced with panic, but with something akin to bewildered awe. Terraformer. Our probes indicate the ancient entity. It is inert. Your actions, they were unprecedented. Are you unharmed? You don't answer immediately. You just stare out at the devastated landscape, at the planet you were sent to nurture, now even more broken than before. You came here to bring life, to seed warmth and water, to cultivate a new beginning. Instead, you scorched it. You weaponized your ship, your very purpose, to contain a nightmare. The memory of the small, sealed vial of earth soil and dormant seeds, the ghost of a forest in your hands, feels distant now, almost mocking. The hollowness settles then, deep in your chest. The perfect memory of what this world could have been, what you were supposed to make it, clashes violently with the brutal reality of what you had to do. You saved them. The Varkos, your charges, are safe, their blue world still gleaming peacefully in the distant sky. But the cost, the price you paid wasn't just physical. It was the crushing weight of sacrifice. The bitter taste of knowing that sometimes, to save something, you have to destroy a part of yourself, a part of your original dream. You finally key your comms, your voice raspy, heavy with exhaustion. Affirmative, Varkos. The threat is contained. For now. You pull your hand away from the hot console, feeling the sticky sweat against your glove. The ship is a wreck, probably unflyable. The dream of a green Xylos, a fertile home for the Varkos, feels like a distant, unreachable star. You're alone, adrift on a broken world, a human engineer who just fought a cosmic horror with sheer bloody-minded ingenuity. And as the silence stretches, the hollowness grows. Because sometimes, when you stare down annihilation and win, the victory tastes less like triumph and more like ash. The stale, metallic tang of recycled air still carries a faint undercurrent of ozone and burnt insulation. Your body aches, a symphony of bruised muscles and the relentless throb in your left arm. The silence of the scout ship, broken only by the whirring of failing systems, is a heavy blanket after the cacophony of alarms and ancient shrieks. You manage to contain the beast, yes, but at what cost? Your ship is a husk, the planet a molten mess. The Varkos might be safe, but their new home is a blasted wasteland. You haul yourself from the command chair, each movement a protest from protesting joints. Your helmet, still sealed, feels suffocating, yet the thought of removing it and breathing unfiltered toxic air is worse. You need to assess the damage, but more than that, you need to see. To witness the extent of your, notch of victory. The main viewport shows only a smoking, scarred landscape, molten fissures glowing with residual heat. The chasm is a gaping wound, the entity a broken shadow within. You force yourself to the emergency airlock again, the familiar hiss, the clang of the outer hatch. The cold hits you immediately, even through your thermalized suit, a stark reminder of Xylos's natural, lifeless state. The ground crunches under your boots, not the crystalline ice from before, but a brittle, vitrified ash, still radiating faint warmth in patches. The air, though filtered, holds the phantom scent of death and chemical residue. You trek towards the edge of the chasm, not too close, just close enough to confirm the beast's dormancy. Your personal sensor array, miraculously still functional, confirms it. No more hostile energy signatures, just latent, residual power. You scan the desolate expanse, a grim satisfaction warring with the despair. This was supposed to be a garden world. Now it's a funeral pyre. Then you see it. Not in the smoking chasm, not near the blasted impact zone, but a dozen meters away, nestled in a protected hollow carved by some displaced rock, where the heat wasn't quite as intense, where a small pocket of your original terraforming chemicals must have settled. A single defiant green sprout. It's tiny, barely pushing through the vitrified ash, a vibrant, impossible speck of emerald against the charcoal landscape. Your suit's optical zoom magnifies it, showing a pair of embryonic leaves, unfurling, reaching for the dim, distant sunlight. It's not an indigenous plant, that's for sure. This is an Earth species, a hardy pioneer seed from your personal biosphere, the one you clutched like a talisman. It wasn't just a symbol, it was a promise. A shock, pure and visceral, jolts through you. Your breath hitches. You kneel slowly, painfully, your gloved fingers hovering over the fragile life. The sheer tenacity of it, breaking through a scorched, poisoned world. After all that destruction, you tried to fix a world. You almost doomed it. You scorched it with a star. And yet, somehow, one tiny spark of life you carried still found a way. You came here to bring life, and you almost brought death. But even amidst the ruins of your own making, life finds a foothold. That's the human way, isn't it? To sow a seed, even when all you have left is ashes. That single green sprout rising from the devastation is a testament. Not just to the will of nature, but to the stubborn, beautiful, reckless hope of humanity itself. You kneel there, the rough, vitrified ash biting into the synth-weave of your suit, your gloved fingers hovering inches above the tiny, defiant green sprout. The cold of Xylos still seeps into your bones, but a strange, unexpected warmth blossoms in your chest. It's a pure, unadulterated awe, a feeling you haven't felt since you first gazed upon Earth's azure oceans from orbit. This single, tenacious plant, pushing through the literal ashes of your near failure, feels more significant than any grand terraforming achievement. Your suit's environmental sensors, still struggling after the core overload, manage to register a faint, almost imperceptible trace of organic compounds in the filtered air around the sprout. Not a true scent, not through the hermetic seal, but a time memory summary of it. A phantom sensation ghosting past your internal filters. It's the fragrance of impossible life, the imagined aroma of damp earth soil, of burgeoning green things, of rain on fresh leaves. It's a miracle, a defiant whisper of what could still be. You gently prod the ground around it, careful not to disturb the fragile sprout. Your multi-tool, usually reserved for repairing fusion conduits or atmospheric processors, now becomes a delicate trowel, sifting the brittle ash away from the tiny stem. This isn't about grand plans anymore. It's about this one, small spark. It's about nurturing, about protecting. You, the engineer who just nuked a planet's surface with its own ship, are now a gardener. The Varkos comms chime again, insistent. Terraformer! We are dispatching a long-range probe to assess the situation. Our sensors detected residual thermal pockets, life signs. The last part is tentative, almost hopeful. You look from the sprout to the distant blue marble of the Varkos homeworld, then back at the vibrant green struggling against the gray. Life signs. Yeah, one of them. Yours. And this. This tiny, perfect thing. You close your comms before they can press for details. They don't need to know the madness it took to get here, or the precariousness of this moment. Not yet. Your eyes trace the molten scars of the chasm, where the ancient horror lies broken and dormant. It's a stark reminder of what you faced, what humanity faced, and what you somehow overcame. You didn't just survive. You resisted. You improvised a weapon out of a dream, a defense out of desperation. And in the aftermath, when all seemed lost, you found a way for life to stubbornly persist. You spend hours there, shielded from the planet's toxic atmosphere, shielding the sprout in turn from the harsh wind and residual heat. You scoop up precious, untainted soil from a shielded crag and carefully, painstakingly create a small, temporary micro-environment around the struggling plant. It's a foolish, desperate act, a technician's futile gesture in the face of planetary devastation. But it feels right. It feels human. As the dim Xylosian sun begins its slow descent, painting the scorched landscape in shades of bruised purple and angry red, you stand up, your body aching, your spirit oddly renewed. You gaze at the tiny green speck, a lighthouse in a sea of ash. The fragrance of impossible life, real or imagined, lingers in your internal filters, a promise. Because that's what humans do, isn't it? Even when the universe throws its worst, even when you've just melted a world, you still look for a patch of green. You find a seed, and you plant it. Because that's how you build a home. One impossible sprout at a time. The first tremor isn't from the dormant beast below, but from above. A low, insistent growl that vibrates through the ruined hull of your scout ship, now a mangled scrap heap. The air purifiers, barely clinging to life, sputter and whine, struggling against an increasing influx of fine, abrasive dust. Your bruised body, still aching from the fusion core overload, tenses. This isn't the cold, sterile Xylos you've known. This is something new. You lurch towards the main viewport, forcing your sore eyes to focus through the grime that already coats the stressed transparasteel. A vast, churning wall of crimson dust engulfs the horizon, blotting out the distant, dying sun, the roar of the red storm. It hits your ship like a physical fist, debris rattling against the stressed metal, the entire vessel groaning in protest. Emergency lights flicker, plunging the small cockpit into momentary darkness before sputtering back to life, casting long, dancing shadows. You're trapped inside a tin can, being pummeled by a planet that's had enough. Just what I needed, you rasp, your voice hoarse, a dry cough catching in your throat, despite the filters. You clutch your left arm, which flares with a fresh wave of pain as the ship bucks and twists under the relentless assault. Your comms are dead, completely fried in the last encounter. No Varkos, no help, just the relentless, furious wind outside, A primal shriek that drowns out the groaning of your ship. Your mind instantly goes to the sprout, that tiny, defiant green spark you found in the ashes. You spent hours nurturing it, shielding it, creating a makeshift microenvironment just outside the ship. Now, this. The red storm isn't just wind and dust. It's an abrasive, corrosive torrent, capable of stripping paint from starships and pulverizing exposed rock. It will tear that fragile life apart in minutes, grind it into fine, red powder. Something slams into the hull with a sickening thud. You flinch, scanning your internal damage reports. Another breach. Your ship is a sieve, and the atmosphere outside is rapidly losing any semblance of habitability. You can already feel the pressure drop, subtly, insidiously, a rising alarm in your helmet's diagnostics. You grab a heavy-duty wrench, your only weapon against a planet gone mad. You can't let it die, not after everything, not after what that sprout represented. You limp to the airlock, the decision made, even as every fiber of your being screams at the futility. The outer airlock door jams, refusing to cycle. The abrasive dust has already infiltrated the mechanisms. You swear, a string of colorful expletives, as you slam the wrench against the recalcitrant seal. Sparks fly, the metal groans, but it won't budge. You check your external cams. The sprout's fragile shelter, a pathetic dome of salvaged metal, is being battered mercilessly. Debris pelts it relentlessly. You can see the leaves, tiny and green, struggling against the encroaching red dust, wilting even as you watch. Desperation claws at your throat, a taste of ash and fear. No, you whisper, a primal refusal against the universe's indifference. You ram the wrench into the airlock's emergency override port, bypassing the jammed system. The inner door hisses open, then the outer door blasts open with a shriek of tortured hydraulics, spewing a torrent of red dust and biting wind into the airlock chamber. It's a suicidal move, exposing the ship further, but you don't care. The storm's fury lashes at you as you step out, a physical assault of wind and razor-sharp particles that whips your suit. You squint against the tempest, fighting to stay upright, leaning into the invisible force. The air, though filtered, is thick, choking, a metallic dust filling your suit's environmental systems. Your visibility is almost zero, a swirling vortex of red that devours the landscape. You can barely see your hand in front of your face, let alone the tiny sprout. But you have to find it. The world outside is a maelstrom of red, a howling, grinding vortex of pulverized rock and toxic gas. The vibration of a world's fury batters you, shaking you to your core. It's not just wind. It's a solid wall of force, buffeting your heavy suit, threatening to tear you from your feet. Razor-sharp dust scrapes incessantly against your helmet, blurring your already limited vision. Every labored step forward is an act of sheer, bloody-minded will, pushing against the overwhelming force that wants to strip you bare and grind you to nothing. Your left arm screams with every jarring movement, a constant, fiery reminder of your recklessness. You press forward, leaning into the invisible giant that shoves against you, your head down, your internal navigation system screaming useless warnings about atmospheric density and wind shear. The comms are completely dead now, a relief in some ways, but also a chilling reminder of your utter isolation. It's just you, a battered human in a dying suit against the wrath of an entire planet. Where are you? You gasp, the words swallowed by the roar of the storm inside your helmet. You scan the ground frantically, your eyes straining through the red haze, searching for the makeshift shelter, for any sign of that impossible green. The air in your suit's filters is thick, with the scent of burning dust, a choking, metallic tang that promises eventual systems failure. A sudden, violent gust of wind, stronger than any before, slams into you, ripping you off your feet. You tumble, hitting the vitrified ash with a bone-jarring impact, the wrench clattering from your numb fingers. For a terrifying moment, you're airborne, rolling blindly in the red tempest, before slamming back down, your helmet bouncing painfully off the ground. A crack spiders across your viewport, thin and sharp. Panic, cold and sharp, tries to claw its way up your throat. "No!" you yell, scrambling to your hands and knees, fighting against the crushing wind. "Not now! Not like this!" You force yourself up again, your damaged arm screaming. You can't see the sprout. It's gone, swallowed by the red inferno. Despair. A chilling wave washes over you, threatening to drown the last spark of defiance. All that effort, all that pain, for nothing. Then, a faint flicker. A tiny, almost imperceptible green speck, almost hidden beneath a shifting drift of red dust. It's the shelter, battered, half-buried, but still standing. And inside, miraculously, the sprout still fights. It's bowed, its leaves trembling, coated in a fine layer of red grit, but it's still green, still alive. A surge of pure, stubborn fury replaces the despair. You drop to your knees again, ignoring the agony in your arm. Your hands, working purely on instinct, begin to dig. You scoop the loose, abrasive ash, piling it around the base of the battered shelter, creating a crude, reinforced berm against the onslaught. Your gloves tear, exposing the raw skin beneath to the abrasive dust, but you don't stop. Your suit screams system failures. The pressure inside drops another notch, but you keep digging. You keep pushing. You are a human. And humans don't give up. Not for a planet. Not for an alien species. And certainly not for a single, stubborn green sprout that dared to defy the crushing might of a dying world. You are grit and defiance, improvisation and sheer pig-headed stubbornness, forged in the fires of a universe that constantly tries to break you. And right now, holding this small, fragile life, fighting this ridiculous, impossible fight, you wouldn't have it any other way. Because the vibration of a world's fury is nothing against the stubborn beat of a human heart. The abrupt cessation of the storm leaves a ringing silence in your ears. A sudden, heavy void after the incessant, brutal roar. The world outside, visible through the spider-webbed crack in your helmet's viewport, is no longer a blinding red vortex, but a desolate landscape blanketed in a fine, crimson dust. The air, though still toxic and thin, has lost its furious, abrasive edge. It's quiet now. Too quiet. The weight of unbroken silence presses in, heavier than any physical force the storm could muster. You lie sprawled on the ash-covered ground. Your suit alarms a symphony of red, all indicating critical system failures. The pressure inside your suit is dropping, slowly but steadily. Your left arm is a throbbing agony, a fiery ache that radiates up to your shoulder, a fresh pain from the fall. Your gloved hands, torn and scraped, are still covered in the gritty dust you dug with. Every breath you take feels shallow, hard-won, the recycled air tasting like metal and defeat. You push yourself up, slowly, painfully. The world swims for a moment, stars exploding behind your eyes, but you force yourself to focus. The makeshift shelter for the sprout, half buried in a drift of red ash, still stands. You crawl towards it, your damaged body moving on pure, desperate instinct. It's the only thing that matters right now. With trembling fingers, you brush away the layers of fine red dust from the shelter's cracked transparency. And there it is, the sprout. Its limp coated in a fine red powder, but still defiantly green beneath. It survived. Klein, you survived. A ragged, guttural laugh tears from your throat, a sound of raw, exhausted disbelief. You just fought a planet and won. Or at least, you both endured. But the victory feels hollow, tinged with a deep, crushing loneliness. Your comms are dead. Your ship, a twisted wreck of metal and fused circuits, isn't flying anywhere. You're stranded, alone on a scorched world, with a single, fragile sprout as your only companion. The Varkos probes might come, eventually, but who knows how long that will be. You reach for the sprout, your torn glove trembling. The suit's pressure warning blares, insistent, warning. Pressure integrity compromised. Seek immediate shelter. Shut up, you croak, your voice barely audible. You gently brush the dust from one of the sprout's delicate leaves. It doesn't respond, doesn't perk up. It's just there, existing. Like you. The silence outside is absolute now. No wind, no creaking metal, no ancient hum from below. Just the steady, desperate whirring of your failing suit, and the frantic thump of your own heart against your ribs. You look up at the Xylosian sky, a pale, anemic gray now that the storm has passed. You survived. You fought. You improvised like hell. You burned a world, then saved a sprout. It's the human story in miniature, isn't it? To make mistakes, to break things, to rage against the dying of the light, and then, against all odds, to find a tiny, impossible spark of life and cling to it. To carry it forward, even when the silence feels heavier than any burden. You are alone, yes, but you are not defeated. And sometimes, for a human, that's enough. The crushing silence outside is broken only by the frantic thump-thump in your ears. Not the ship's metal heartbeat this time, but your own. The sound of your own blood pumping. A frantic drumbeat against the rising tide of cold. Your helmets crack spiderwebs further with each labored breath, and the pressure warning blares insistent and shrill as the internal atmospheric systems finally begin to fail. The recycled air is growing thin, tainted with the acrid taste of ozone and the metallic tang of fear. You slump against the battered, dust-laden shelter you built for the sprout. Your body a symphony of aches. Your left arm, useless and throbbing, is clamped tight against your chest. Your torn gloves, raw skin visible beneath, are stiff with dried blood and grit. You are cold. So cold. The bitter chill of Xylos, no longer held at bay by a functioning suit, begins to seep into your bones, a chilling promise of what's to come. Through the fractured viewport, you stare at the sprout. It's still there, a vibrant, defiant green against the relentless crimson dust. It's struggling, its tiny leaves drooping, but it hasn't given up. And neither will you. Not now. Not when you've come this far. You're alone. Your ship is scrap. Your rescue signal is a whisper, lost in the void. But you're still breathing. That frantic thump-thump in your ears is proof. Your eyes drift from the sprout to the distant blue marble of the Varkos homeworld, then to the smoking chasm where the ancient horror lies dormant. You saved them. You saved the Varkos. At least, for now. And you did it with grit, with spit, and with every desperate, improvised fiber of your being. You weren't supposed to be a hero, you were an engineer. But when the universe throws you a curveball, a human improvises. That's the core of it, isn't it? You reach for the emergency repair kit on your belt, fumbling with numb fingers. The pressure drop is accelerating. You don't have much time. Your body is screaming for rest, for warmth, for safety. But your mind, sharp and defiant, is already working, sifting through the limited resources, plotting the next impossible step. You have no more starship cannons. No more ice blasts. All you have is a failing suit, a battered kit, and the sheer, bloody-minded refusal to die quietly. You have to get back to the ship, even if it's just to scavenge, even if it's just to find a way to patch your suit, to buy a few more hours, to keep that tiny green spark alive. This isn't about grand gestures anymore. This is primal. This is basic. This is survival. You push yourself up, slowly, pain radiating through every joint. The cold is a constant companion, but the fire of stubbornness burns brighter. Your lungs burn, your head spins, but that rhythmic thump-thump of your own blood pumping is a defiant song in the deepening silence. It's the sound of a human heart, beating against the indifference of the cosmos, and as long as it beats, you fight. For the sprout. For the Varkos. For the sheer, audacious, impossible notion of hope. Because that's what humans do. They endure. The crushing cold has sunk into your bones. A constant, gnawing ache that defies your failing suit's last, desperate attempts at warmth. Every shallow breath rasps in your throat, thick with the metallic tang of ozone and the growing staleness of recirculated air. Your left arm is a dead weight, a throbbing reminder of the abuse your body has taken. You limp towards the twisted metal corpse of your scout ship, your boots crunching on the fine, red ash that now blankets Xylos. The silence of the planet is absolute, a heavy, suffocating blanket that presses down on your weary spirit. You push open the airlock, the tortured metal groaning a protest that mirrors your own. Inside, the ship is a tomb of twisted circuits and charred consoles. The air is still thick, with the acrid scent of burnt polymers and fused electronics, a pungent reminder of your desperate, star-powered punch. You stumble through the wreckage, your eyes scanning for anything salvageable, anything that might extend your precious few hours of life. You're looking for spare power cells, for patching compound, for anything to mend your broken suit. Then you hear it. Faint. Almost imperceptible over the failing hum of your helmet's own systems. Over the frantic thump-thump of your blood in your ears. A whisper. A ghost. Asterisk, 'cause. Static. You freeze, every muscle tensing. Your head snaps up, your breath catching. You strain your ears, trying to locate the source. It's not from your helmet comms, those are irrevocably dead. It's coming from a console. One of the auxiliary comm panels, miraculously not entirely melted into slag. Asterisk COD KZZZT. Disbelief wars with a desperate frantic surge of hope. It can't be. Your primary comms were annihilated. But this is a raw, unfocused burst, a forgotten signal from some overloaded, desperate subsystem. It's not a message, it's just noise, but it's asterisk something. No way, you whisper, the word dry, raw. You claw your way over a bent bulkhead, ignoring the searing pain in your arm. Your fingers, stiff and numb, fumble for the small multi-tool on your belt. You activate its diagnostic mode, holding it near the sparking panel. The screen flickers to life, showing a chaotic stream of corrupted data, a river of broken frequencies. But there, buried deep within the noise, is a faint, almost invisible trace. A carrier wave. Inactive, barely registering. But it's there, a forgotten signal, struggling to breathe through the static. You stare at it, your mind racing, 1,000 engineering diagrams flashing through your head. The panel is mangled, half melted. The power conduit leading to it is frayed, sparking intermittently. It's an impossible repair, a futile exercise. But the static, that whisper of connection, it's a lifeline, however thin. "All right, you piece of junk," you mutter, a grim, determined fire rekindling in your chest. "Let's see what we can do with nothing." You start pulling at scorched wires, stripping insulation with your bare teeth, ignoring the faint shock as your damaged gloves make contact. You're not trying to send a message. Not yet. You're just trying to amplify that static, to bring that forgotten signal back to life. To hear. To know you're not entirely alone in this desolate, broken corner of the universe. Because even the most garbled static, to a human stranded alone in the void, can sound like a symphony. And you're not done fighting for that music. The biting cold of the ship's interior is a constant companion now. A heavy cloak that seeps through the tears in your suit, chilling you to the bone. Your breath plumes in front of your faceplate. A frosty ghost in the dim, failing light of the scout ship. Every movement sends a jolt of agony through your left arm. But you ignore it, your focus absolute on the sparking, mangled comm panel. The static persists, a thin, wavering hiss that is both infuriating and miraculously hopeful. Your fingers, stiff and numb, work with frantic precision, stripping frayed wires, twisting them together, bypassing melted relays. Sparks spit and crackle, stinging your raw, exposed skin where your gloves have worn through, but you barely register the pain. Your multi-tool's diagnostic screen is a chaotic mess of overlapping frequencies, but your human eye, your engineer's intuition, begins to spot patterns in the digital chaos. You're searching for a resonance, a signature, anything that suggests intelligent transmission rather than just cosmic background noise. Asterisk assist pop. KZZZT-esh. The static shifts. A subtle alteration in its rhythm. A fleeting harmonic that makes the hairs on your neck stand on end. It's almost imperceptible, a ghost in the machine, but you feel it. A spark of connection. You slam a salvaged power conduit into a half-melted port, bypassing another fried circuit, hoping against hope the jury-rigged connection holds. The comm panel flickers, momentarily flaring to life with an angry orange glow, then settling into a weak, unstable green. The static intensifies, then changes again. It's still noise, A wall of hissing, crackling interference. But now, there's a cadence, a rhythm, a shape. Not words, not yet, but a pattern emerging from the chaos, like trying to see a face in a swirling mist. Then, through the cacophony, a faint, high-pitched warble. It's alien, completely unintelligible, but it's undeniably a feus. It's overlaid with static, fractured, almost swallowed by the noise, but it's there. A Varkos voice. Your breath catches, a ragged gasp. After days of deafening solitude, of fighting a planet and a primal evil alone, you're hearing another sentient being. Hello, you whisper into your dead comms, a primal instinctive reaction. You know they can't hear you. Not yet, but the sheer, overwhelming relief of hearing them sends a jolt through your weary frame, a warmth blossoming in your chest that momentarily overrides the cold. You lean closer, pressing your helmet against the sparking panel, trying to filter out the noise, trying to snatch even a single recognizable sound. The voice warbles again, accompanied by what sounds like distressed clicking. Panic. They're scared. They're still out there, on their distant blue world, listening to the static, sending desperate calls into the void, unsure of what happened to their last terraformer. I hear you, you rasp, tears welling in your eyes, blurring your view of the mangled panel. I hear you, you stubborn little lizards. A fresh wave of determination floods you, stronger than any pain, any cold, any fatigue. You have a chance. A fragile, flickering chance. The static still rages, trying to consume the faint, desperate voice, but you can feel its shape now. You can feel the connection. And a human, given even the faintest whisper of a connection, will fight heaven and hell to make it a roar. You grab another wire, your hands steady despite the cold. You're not just repairing a comms panel anymore. You're building a bridge. The cold has become a part of you now, a pervasive ache that lives in your bones, radiating outwards, defying the failing heat elements of your suit. Every breath is a shallow, burning struggle, the recycled air growing thinner, tasting like stale metal, and the dust that now coats everything inside the wreckage of your scout ship. Your left arm, useless and throbbing, is clamped to your side, a fiery anchor of pain. But you ignore it all. Your focus, laser sharp, is on the sparking comm panel, the only lifeline in this desolate corner of the galaxy. Your raw, torn fingers, stiff with cold and dried blood, delicately work the mangled wires. Each twist, each connection, is a testament to desperate precision. You're bypassing melted relays, patching fused circuits with scavenged bits of metal and a prayer. The static, a constant abrasive hiss, still dominates the audio, but the Varkos signal, that faint, high-pitched warble, is there. It's a ghost in the machine, but you can feel its rhythm, its desperate urgency, like a distant, struggling heartbeat. Outside, through the fractured main viewport, Xylos begins its slow, agonizing twilight. The red dust, kicked up by the storm and now settled, absorbs the fading light of the distant anemic sun, painting the scarred landscape in hues of bruised purple and angry smoldering orange. The shadows stretch long, grotesque, swallowing the wreckage of your ship, turning the molten chasm into a maw of deepening gloom. It's the texture of the final sunset, heavy and foreboding, pressing down on you with the unspoken promise that darkness is coming, and with it, even more desperate cold. Come on, you grunt, your voice raw, barely audible over the static and the frantic thrum of your own blood in your ears. Just a little more. Give me something. You tug a stubbornly fused wire, ignoring the searing pain as it rips a fresh gash in your already exposed skin. You need to make a solid connection, to amplify that faint signal enough to respond, to send even a garbled message back across the void. The Varkos voice warbles again, louder this time, tinged with a distinct note of escalating fear. Then, another sound cuts through the static. A series of sharp, rapid clicks. It's not language, not yet. But it's an urgent call, a frantic plea. They're trying to communicate, desperately reaching out, hoping for an answer from the human who saved them, then vanished. A wave of profound exhaustion washes over you, heavy and bone-deep, threatening to drag you down into the encroaching shadows. Your eyes burn, gritty with dust and fatigue. Your suit's life support indicators are a flickering array of red, a stark countdown to your own inevitable shutdown. But the thought of that tiny green sprout fighting for life in its makeshift shelter outside, and the desperate, pleading sounds of the Varkos, snaps you back. You are the last terraformer, the last human they know. You have to answer. You pull out a spare power cell, small, meant for a hand lamp, and eye the comm panel. It's a risky move. An overload could fry the whole thing. But you're out of options. You're bleeding, freezing, and running on fumes, but you will not let that signal die. Not while that sunset paints the world in these grim, final colors. Because a human, given even the faintest whisper of a voice, will build a mountain to scream into the night. You shove the power cell into a makeshift slot, the metal hot and slick with your blood. You just bought yourself a few more precious, dangerous seconds. The small power cell, hot and slick with your own blood, seats with a sickening snappiness to the makeshift port. The mangled comm panel flares violently, a blinding surge of orange light that makes you flinch back, your head slamming against the cold bulkhead. For a terrifying second, you think you've just fried the last functional piece of tech on the ship, condemning yourself and the sprout to silent oblivion. The air in your suit smells sharply of burnt ozone, and the frantic thump-thump of your blood in your ears becomes a roaring crescendo. Then, just as quickly, the orange light dies, replaced by a steady if weak green glow. The static, that constant abrasive hiss, doesn't disappear entirely, but it recedes. It pulls back, like a tide going out, revealing the shore. The Varko's voice, that high-pitched, desperate warble, bursts through, clearer now, less fractured, more coherent. It's still alien, still unintelligible, but the panic in it is unmistakable. You lean forward, pressing your helmet against the sparking panel, absorbing every precious fragile sound. You can hear multiple voices now, a chorus of distressed clicks and warbles, a communal cry of fear and confusion. They're broadcasting on an open channel, a plea echoing into the void. And you, the last human, are finally hearing them. You key your dead comms, a raw, primal urge to respond. You know it won't work, not yet. You're barely receiving, but the sheer feeling of a universe holding its breath, of these desperate aliens waiting, watching their potential new home explode, is overwhelming. They don't know what you did. They don't know the nightmare you contained, or the impossible odds you faced, or the sheer pig-headed human stubbornness that kept you going. Your mind races, pulling every scrap of linguistic data, every coded phrase you learned for Varkos diplomacy and terraforming logistics. You can't speak. Your comms are toast. But you can transmit SOAST, a burst, a pulse, something that says, I am here, I am alive, and I'm still fighting. With trembling fingers, you override the panel's input protocols, bypassing its shattered microphone. You reroute the ship's emergency beacon, a low-power, short-range pulse emitter designed for crash sites. It's not for sending messages, not for complex data. It's for sending a single, undeniable signal of presence. You link it to the comm panel, converting the Varkos audio input into a modulated binary pulse. It's a crude, improvised echo, a desperate, frantic Morse code of existence, tailored to their own frantic rhythm. You're not just sending a beacon. You're sending a promise, encoded in their own fear. Your finger hovers over the send button. The pain in your arm is a dull roar, the cold is relentless, and the recycled air is almost gone. But the Varkos' voices swell, a desperate symphony in your ears. And through the fractured viewport, the final, bruised sunset of Xylos dips below the horizon, plunging the world into total, unforgiving darkness. You press it. A single, weak, flickering green light on the comm panel confirms the transmission. A faint, almost imperceptible pulse, repeating, echoing, out into the void. It's tiny. It's barely there. But it's asterisk something. And, for a long moment, the Varkos' voices on the panel go silent. The universe holds its breath. Then, a single, sharp, unmistakable series of clicks. Not panic. Not fear. A question. A call. An acknowledgement. You slump back, head resting against the cold metal. A ragged, relieved breath escaping your lips. You don't know if they truly understood. You don't know if help will ever come. You're still stranded, still dying, still alone. But you answered. You fought a planet, a monster, and your own death. And when a desperate species called out into the dark, a single human, battered and broken, found a way to call back. Because that's what we do. We refuse to be extinguished.